Thanks for joining me in this video. I'd like to talk something about how emotions are generated. Uh, when human beings have emotions, they have their own ideas and their own illusions of how emotions are being formed. And we need to consider the basic level of emotional concepts. There are many theories of emotion concepts which most of the people don't understand. Conditioning plays an integral part in emotions. Monday morning is a wonderful example. I'm recording this on a Monday morning, so I thought I could take it as an example. Monday morning, I'm supposed to be stressed. That's a kind of a conditioning. Friday evening, I'm supposed to be relaxed. That's a kind of a conditioning. Month end, I'm supposed to be thinking about how I can regenerate and how I can rewire things in the ensuing next year. That's a kind of a conditioning. Okay, beginning of month, now that I have got my salary back, I would like to plan for some things ahead. That's a conditioning. So we all live in this world of conditioning. And talking about conditioning, I have got a very interesting classical vintage video clip to be shown to you. And it is a kind of experiment that is used with a mouse. The mouse and cheese. Pretty much similar to Pavlov's experiment in conditioning theories. A mouse being afraid of cheese. Can you believe it? You will see the video clip and you will be able to get the proper picture of what I am speaking about. The mouse literally gets scared of cheese because of conditioning exercise.
Let's now see how a mouse is getting conditioned. When the mouse was confronted with a piece of cheese, it responds by going towards it, as you can see here. It comes to the cheese, it enjoys, and it is having a nice time. But when the mouse was given a mild electric shock as it approached the cheese, it responded by running back. After this procedure was repeated for some time, the mouse began to associate the cheese with the electric shock. And because it was afraid of the shock, the mouse was conditioned to be afraid of cheese. Now the mouse responds to cheese as it is ordinarily responding to electric shock. Conditioning is same in the case of human beings as well. Now you can see this teacher calling the student to stretch his hand, and he mildly presses the hand of the student. Steady, and the hand comes up. Steady, the hand comes up. The third time when he is trying to press, you can see the student's hand goes up. See? I'm pressing, hold it properly. Steady, relax. Steady, relax. As you could see, in the third time, the student is conditioned for this process and he is making his hand ready, and he will slightly move the hand upward when the teacher deliberately stops pushing it. See? It goes up. This is a simple process of conditioning.
Now you know how conditioning is playing a real role in your life. We are just like the mouse that we had seen in that documentary video. We are conditioned with so many news, we are conditioned with so many facts by our parents when we were in the boyhood and girlhood stage, by our friends when we were in school and college, by our employees and our colleagues and peer group of people in the place where we work. Conditioning is all about the subconscious frame. We see so many things and we get conditioned. The fact is that you can get emotional maturity just by the way of conditioning. Conditioning is a double-edged kind of weapon. You have some negative behaviors, that's because of conditioning. You have got some positive behaviors, that's because of conditioning as well. So you've got to be very careful with changing the conditioning. And from now onwards, you can change the conditioning. For all the feelings, for all the kinds of emotions that you have, and all the kinds of worries and sorrows, and this fragmented kind of thoughts that you are having, you can change them all by the process of conditioning. If becoming scared of a cheese is possible for a mouse, becoming so fond of cheese is also possible for the mouse by the scientist in terms of changing just the conditioning of the mouse's mind frame. So just think of the other ways of conditioning. There are lots of positive flavors of emotions like joy, ecstasy, fun, humor. Why can't we find out some conditioning methods of having those feelings quite often in a day? Days pass into weeks, and weeks pass into months, and months pass into years, and years, or actually the combination of years, is your life, right? So, conditioning towards emotional maturity is a very tricky and challenging aspect. But if you are into that assignment, I think you have taken a wonderful decision.
Let us now take the case of Mr. Jeff, who is actually sitting in a restaurant along with a couple of his friends. There is a normal conversation happening between the friends. It's all a conversation about how the day went. And the friends are okay with Jeff, but they were explaining how the day was so dejected for them. So Jeff now plans to do a trick for them using the soft drink bottle. So he wants to do the trick right away. Pours the soft drink, pours it again to the glass. The trick comes on, the trick comes, okay, that is a mess. The friends are making fun out of him because it was an effort of making a trick, but it was just a mess. And there is another insult for Jeff, that the restaurant table has to be wiped off. So he did not have any other way other than cleaning it up. So it was an embarrassment for Jeff, and Jeff is really annoyed, angry, very angry, and he walks away. Friends are really astonished with the way that he has behaved. It happens in our lives as well, right? So he comes out of the drugstore wondering why this happened for him today. And let us now see how this incident is really creating its reflection in Jeff's life. Walks over the park, wondering why this has happened. And it's time he has to move back home. So he comes running with an anxiety and falls down. Again, annoyance, real annoyance, angry on the environment, angry on what has happened for him. Angry again, pulling over the pipe, throwing the pipe away. And again insulted. Just couldn't figure out what is wrong with the day. Now since he has promised his friends that he will take them on a party, he just wanted to examine the car in the car park. So he gets to the car park and tries to start up the car so that it will be ready in the evening. Right? The car is not getting started. Nothing goes right today for Jeff. He doesn't know what has happened and what is the problem with the car, so he wants to see and fix the things. Opens the bonnet, checks what is really wrong, really mad, really mad, and gets banged on the head. It's all the reflection of what has happened with the friends. Takes up a tool for fixing the problem, looks it without any clue, trying to fix it up since he's gone mad. Nothing is working, and he has hurt his finger as well. Very painful day again. Throats, agitated, dejected, coming out of the car park. So decides to get back home since nothing is working. A happy mom at the home. Jeff's mother is very placid and very plain. And here comes Jeff's sister, who is very much happy because of the new dress that her mom has taken for her. She is sharing the happiness with her mom that the dress properly suits her. In comes Jeff. Well, this is not the side Jeff wanted to see, and he's not interested to get as a part in this enjoyment, but the mother and daughter are really happy. Jeff is in not a mood to enjoy this, so he is just waiting when this will happen. Yes, starts to shout at his mom. And the mom is not really interested with what Jeff is trying to speak, and look at the response that the mom is giving towards Jeff. Well, that's the respect Jeff is deserving at his residence. An angry incident ends up with a battle with the mom. So Jeff gets away and he gets into his room And here comes younger brother of Jeff, who is actually in a playful mood. He holds a letter that belongs to Jeff, and Jeff finds it. He wants the letter, but the little fellow is in a mood to play, but Jeff is not in a mood to play. The little fellow does not know Jeff is very angry all through the day. Now this is not the right way. Jeff is taking the cane and threatens his brother. The brother runs away, and the mother is really fed up with Jeff's behavior, because this is how it happens every single day. So what's wrong with Jeff? Now there are some solutions that could possibly fix up Jeff's emotional problems. Now these are the three solutions. Eliminate the stimulus, modify the stimulus, and modify the response. Now out of these three solutions, Jeff can make use of any solution appropriate to the situations. Now we need to understand the problem that Jeff has got. One particular incident that has happened with his friends is actually continuing as a chain reaction, and it puts him in continuous trouble. So let us now re-examine the episode of Jeff with these three solutions in mind. Now you need to understand that the stimulus and response are the two features of emotions of human being. You should also understand that the stimulus is a situation that creates anger. Response is your reaction for the stimulus that creates anger. For example, the incident of the soft drink spilling over Jeff and Jeff's friends making fun out of Jeff is actually a situation that creates anger for Jeff. So that is the stimulus. But when Jeff is shouting at the friends and he walks away from the restaurant, then that is the response that Jeff is giving as a reaction for the stimulus. So stimulus is creator and response is the reaction. Now Jeff can really try such tricks only when he is thorough with doing such tricks. He's not as thorough as you are seeing right now on the screen. Here he's trying to impress his friends, and what happens here is actually a mess. And once a mess is happening, and when he is insulted by three of his friends, he needs to understand that he should get out of the body and he should see himself behaving on a normal way, not getting annoyed, by eliminating the stimulus of getting angry. So he is eliminating the stimulus here by seeing himself outside his own paradigm of the body. Now the friends are reunited. It's a very normal situation now. Similarly, in this situation, when he is walking down, wondering why such things happen in his life, and physically embarrassed here by falling down, he's not supposed to get angry, and he's not supposed to get annoyed with himself. There is no need of taking the pipe and throwing them away. He should actually get into the position of modifying the stimulus, and he should see the humor in it. And similarly, in this third situation, when the car is creating humpty number of problems for him, he has to understand that things are not on a proper intention. The light switch is not working, the car does not start, and there is no problem with the car, but still the car is not properly functioning. It's not properly functioning. So he has to understand that it is not an intentional one and it is an accidental one. And he has to think on a practical way. And what he does here is, he actually modifies the stimulus of getting angry and chooses not to get angry. Well, that's a great way to see things, right? He takes it easy. And similarly, when he gets into home and sees his mom and sister are having a nice time, and here he again gets into the strategy of eliminating the stimulus of getting angry, as they are not responsible for his anger at all. Eliminating the stimulus again happens. Now, with his little younger brother, what he tries to do is, he actually modifies the response again by giving delight to his brother. That is, for getting the letter, he gives a toy and gets a letter. And that is a happy occasion between two brothers. And what he also does is, he tells his brother and seeks help from him to push the car to the garage or the mechanic shop. So he offers his brother that if he helps to push the car, he can give him another favor. So the little brother agrees, and the car problem is also fixed now. With the help of his younger brother, he is taking the car to the mechanic shop. Happy occasion all around. Great way of controlling the emotions. Now after this, Jeff goes and enjoys the party with his friend as it was planned earlier. It's very simple. He has learned how to control the emotion. Eliminating the stimulus, modifying the stimulus, and modifying the response. So these are the three activities or attributes that Jeff follows every now and then whenever he is put into the emotional challenge. Jeff is really able to do it. You can also do it, my dear friends.
When you are on the pursuit of changing the conditioning and trying to be very positive in terms of conditioning so that you could have good emotions, you should know this theory. You see the stimulus and there is a response. Stimulus is what something that happens or going to happen, and response is the reaction that you are going to give for the stimulus. And in between these two, you have got the freedom of choice. And in fact, this freedom of choice is the one that is going to give you lots of happiness. Because the freedom of choice have, the glory, and the way that you responded to the situation determines how you are going to feel ensuing. So both the stimulus and response are very much, the response to the stimulus is very much on a subconscious basis. And you have the choice how to react to this particular stimulus. And when you are smartly utilizing the freedom to choose, you will have lots of good feelings because it is you who is the total controller of the situation. So with the right choices, eventually the response we choose begins to influence the stimulus. Let me give you an example. Now you see this boy who was having an axe and he was doing some work over the forest. And what happened was, when he was along with his friends, one rattlesnake came and it bit him. There are so many ways the boy could have responded after the rattlesnake has bitten. He could have used his axe to cut the snake down into pieces. But the poison is in his body and he does not want to get the poison to his heart. So he immediately responded, and he has taken the freedom of choice. He responded immediately and he took the poisonous blood out of his hand, and he responded on a very positive way to ensure that the snake's blood, the snake's venom does not spread over his body. So he does not have the inclination to hurt the snake, but he wanted to recover himself. So many times it's not what people do to us that hurts us, it's our chosen response to what they actually do to us that hurts us. Nothing can make you feel inferior without your consent, as Roosevelt rightly mentioned. So you have a very big responsibility of having the freedom of choice. You need to be very smart enough to choose the proper response for the stimulus that happens. Business situations, personal situations, whatever it may be. You got to be so much careful in terms of choosing the response that you could give for the stimulus. Remember the boy. The boy could have had his vengeance by killing the snake. But during the pursuit of killing the snake, the venom, the poison of the snake would be spreading over his body all over. So he wanted to choose a response which could definitely recover him and he will live along. So you can take this example and always be very much smart in terms of choosing proper response. And remember, the freedom of choice you have is going to bring you happiness.
Sometimes life gives you some problems and challenges which will not be solved by using the regular forms of solutions and techniques. During those times, we use a technique called as 4 prescription. This is not a technique, it is kind of a mindset. 4 prescriptions is a method that I learned when I was an MBA student doing my, when I was pursuing my psychology specialization during my second year. It says thinking with a new angle. I mean, having a different kind of paradigm shift when you're thinking about a problem. Most of the time, just by taking medicine on a routine basis, sometimes that medicine get used to with your physical system, and medicine no longer gives you any sort of benefit or cure for the disease that you are suffering from. So likewise, we have got some techniques which could be used in the system for so long, and your understanding level has become so much numb that the conventional technique is not giving you any sort of benefits. And during those times, we need something new, right? So this four prescription technique that I'm going to discuss now, or I'm going to show you now, is a different kind of a pill for the disease that you have.
A man consulted his doctor asking for some relief. He said, "I am so much stressed. Could you please help me? I don't know why I have lost the juice in my life. So is there anything that you can help me?" he asked the doctor. The doctor said, "Sure, I would help you. I would like to give you 4 prescriptions, and I want you to go to the beach, and I want you to spend some time very privately. So here are the 4 prescriptions for you. Take these 4 prescriptions. These are not medicines, just 4 prescriptions. Just go to the beach and try to spend some time." So he goes to the beach and he finds himself peaceful. He takes the first prescription. The first prescription said, "Listen carefully." So he was listening carefully. From 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock on the beach, he was listening carefully. He was trying to listen to the surf's sound. He was trying to listen to the bird sound, and he was getting some serenity. And he was actually focused upon the nature, and he was totally oriented towards the nature. 3 hours went on like this, because the prescription was supposed to be taken once in 3 hours. So it became 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is time for the man to take the second prescription, because for the 3 hours he has been listening carefully. So he took the second prescription, and the second prescription read, "Try reaching back. Just try reaching back." I mean, he was asked to take over all the things that he was doing in the past. He was recalling his boyhood stage when he went with his brother, and he was playing with his brother at the beach, and all the good things and good memories in the past. So for the next 3 hours, he was trying to reach back and recollecting all the old memories. And now, time for the third prescription. So it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he took the third prescription. And the third prescription read like this: "Re-examine your motives." This was the most important prescription out of the 4. And he was supposed to re-examine all the things that he has been doing, and what is his purpose, what is his ambition, and what are his goals. He was trying to introspect and retrospect what are all his motives. He was trying to re-examine, why am I doing in this business? I mean, what am I really trying to do? What am I really trying to accomplish? What should I do hereafter? He reorganized, he reoriented, and he replaced new motives and desires congruent with his higher new principles. So it was a kind of re-engineering that was happening in his mind by using the third prescription. So it was a very important one, and he felt really transformed. As the saying goes, when you live out of your imagination, you focus on the future. And basically, what lies behind us is nothing compared to what lies within us and ahead of us. So he was trying to make this as a profound one, and he was really having a nice time doing the third prescription, that is re-examining his motives. A total re-engineering and transformation happened. And slowly progressed with the time. He's taking the 4th prescription, and the 4th prescription reads like this: "Write your troubles in the sand." So he took a shell and wrote his troubles on the sand, so that the seashore, the surfing comes and destroys all the troubles. So he felt very much refreshed in that beach, and he felt very transformed by using these 4 prescriptions. So we have seen what is conditioning. We have seen how to control the stimulus and response using freedom of choice. And we have also seen the 4 prescription method. You need to loop these 3 things together for gaining a proper emotional balance. First of all, understand what conditioning is all about. By this time, you should be able to really uproot or unlearn the concept that you have about conditioning, and you should be trying to have new form of conditioning. And you should be having this 4 prescription method as a good maturity level for seeing the problems from a different perspective. Now we are going to see two different therapies, and these two therapies that I am going to explain contain conditioning as an integral part into it. The first therapy is called as the swish pattern. The second therapy is called as scramble. These two techniques are conditioning oriented, and they give you a very good balance for your emotions. And whenever you're finding yourself on a rut or a basic level of struggle in terms of controlling your emotions, you can put these two techniques into action and you can really take control over it. So first let us see swish pattern. Basically, swish pattern is a conditioning exercise and it involves a bit of meditative behavior. I have explained about swish pattern in a college, and I would like to bring the footage of the explanation. So here comes the swish pattern concept explained.
So the girl comes and asks, "Daddy, could you please give some time?" And the person shouts at the girl. Look at the vivid picture. How many times I have told you not to come to my office when I'm busy? Just get out in another 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Maybe we will look into it. So he shouts and the poor girl runs out of the room. But this guy is a rude father, but at the same time he has got this kind of a tenacity. And I should have behaved a little bit softly to my daughter. Instead of shouting at her, I should have behaved like that. So he has got a desired behavior, a desired changing behavior. Like he wanted to behave like this. That is, when the girl comes and asks, "Daddy, could you please come and spend some time with me?" He wanted to behave loudly like this. Maybe, "Just give me 10 minutes time, I'll finish this and I will give you all the time." So this is the behavior that he desires. But I'm sorry, he looks very funny. In any case. So that was number one behavior. Rude, shouting and arrogant behavior. This was number two behavior. Now, let me introduce the psychological therapy called a swish pattern. And it is in the NLP techniques, neuro-linguistic programming techniques. Swish pattern is like a meditation, my dear friends. For this guy, it's the anger that is really making him troublesome. And for you, there is some sort of emotional weakness. Maybe shivering, fear, crying, getting angry, being jealous, being possessive, having the stage fear, fear of interview, fear of attending group discussion. Likewise, take any weakness, any emotional weakness that you have, and keep that particular weakness into your mind. Now let me demonstrate how you can do this swish pattern. Now this guy has got two behaviors. Behavior A, the behavior you want to change. Behavior B, the behavior you want to inculcate. Keep the behavior you want to change on the red background in your mind. And keep the behavior that you want to inculcate on the green background in your mind. It's like a meditation, it requires enormous amount of practice, but maybe for the first 10 to 15 times, you might be finding it difficult, but after that, you can really change your behavior pattern. I have recently made an youngster stop his smoking by using this pattern. I have made a person stop becoming hysteric. He has got this hysteric behavior. When he gets anger, he will immediately get all the objects that are out of his reach and he will throw it on somebody else. So I wanted to make that particular change to happen and I employed this particular thing on him. So step number one is swish pattern. You've got to close your eyes and you've got to decide which particular weakness has to change. And imagine that the weakness, the weak behavior is in the red background. And imagine the desired behavior that you want to inculcate in the green background. In the smoking example, the person, I have his own image. I want him, his own image of taking lots of cigarettes and puffing it all over. That image should be in the red background. And feeling very healthy without even a puff of a cigarette and feeling very, very strong, that image has to be in the green background. So step number two is, you got to make sure and you got to visualize as if the green comes enlarging, and it should blast the red. This is called a swish pattern. You have to do it very vividly into your mind itself. Question, sir, I'm not able to concentrate in my mind. Fine. Very easy. Close your eyes and keep the bad behavior to be changed into your mind. I'm trying a lot, sir. Without my knowledge, all of a sudden tears break down. Fine. Imagine the picture of crying all the time and tears getting broken down in the red background. And imagine the kind of an image in which you are so strong, emotionally very much driven in green image. Okay? So you can imagine as if the green image is on the palm, and you can imagine as if the red image is into the mind. You can literally do like this. Physiology breeds psychology. Closing the eyes, and if you're literally doing like this, it means your mind will get the impression that this is the behavior I don't want, and this is the behavior I want. So in smoking example, the person feeling very healthy, that image is in his palm. And the person smoking a lot of cigarettes, that image is in the mind, in the red background. So if you are doing this for 10 to 15 times, you are directly sending the image to the subconscious mind. Coming back to the swish pattern, just sitting straight and closing the eyes and taking a particular behavior that you want to change and keep that particular behavior by visualizing as if it's in the red background and keeping the desired behavior as if it is in the green background. So when you do this, sir, this appears to be very clumsy to me. I cannot go and sit in a separate room and I cannot do it like this, keep on doing like this. People might be thinking very crazy. Fine. So if that's the case, just sit and see that the green image comes and blasts the red. And you have to do it for 15 times. The reason why it is called as a swish is you are switching from the red to green. That's why it is called a swish pattern. Okay? So the red image is the thing that you want to change. The green image is the thing that you want to have. So this swish pattern. Now, finish the first therapy. You have any questions? Frequently asked questions. Question number 1, sir, when can we do this? We should do in the morning and we shall do in the evening as well. But doing in the morning is very, very important. Frequently asked question number 2, sir, if let's say for example, I am using this for one weakness, how long can I use for one weakness? I got 2 weaknesses. Weakness number 1, I'm a short-tempered person. Weakness number 2, I got some fear. How long can I use? For one weakness, you have to use it for 1 full month. As the saying goes, a task, in order to get converted as a habit, it takes almost about 25 days. The rule of 21, you have heard about rule of 21 in psychology. It takes 21 days for a task to get habitualized into your pattern. So swish pattern will be working really well if you are really consistent on a particular task for the next 30 days or so. You got to be very clear about it. But Monday you are doing swish pattern for reducing your anger. Tuesday you are doing swish pattern for reducing your fear. Things will not work. You got to be very consistent and on a uniform basis towards one weakness. Do you have any questions apart from this? Try this. Just try this. Maybe the first couple of moments or in the first couple of occurrences, you will not be finding it so effective. But later, as time progresses, you are really going to have a wonderful kind of an impact. You can virtually change any weakness of yours. Starting from a tiny weakness, like one of my friends' younger brother, he was having a very tiny kind of, a strange kind of a weakness. That boy was always having this kind of aversion towards noodles. Whenever his mom prepared noodles, he was having an aversion. The noodles are appearing not as a food for me, it is appearing like just threads that are very poisonous. That's what is the boy's condition. So noodles are naturally not a healthy food. So I told my friend, what is the big deal? Just leave it. I did not take noodles at all because it's basically not healthy. But my friend was very concerned. No, he has got this problem of attaching anything to something to anything. So what can I do? We employed the swish pattern for changing that aversion, changing that obscene. Like for example, one person was having a very big problem in terms of thinking about the future. You will take the person and you will make the person depressed. Ask the person to think about the future. The person was doing MSc Mathematics in one arts college and he was very much worried about his future. Whenever he thinks about the future, he will fall down fainting because he was not having any clue what to be done in the future. So we employed this for taking that. Likewise, I can show you plenty of examples. So just start doing this on an outlandish basis. But as things progress, as time progresses, you'll be becoming so much thorough in swish pattern. It's a very big exercise. Well, if you would like to go for more authenticity about swish pattern, you can Google about swish pattern. You will have lots and lots of explanations in the next about it. So this is my first therapy. Yes, ma'am.
How many minutes we can do?
Ma'am, it's just for almost about say 5 to 7 minutes. At the maximum 10 minutes.
At a time.
At a time. That's it. At a time. Because the moment you sit, closing your eyes, And the moment you condition your weakness and designing that in the red background, designing that in the green background, that itself will take 5 minutes. And then you are doing the swish. I always do this with the physical movement because that works vivid for me. So when I do this, I associate the green images on my palm and I associate the red image in my mind. When I do this, I'm able to do the clear. This is my first session. First session of therapy. Swish. My second therapy is called as scramble. The scramble technique. I came across a lady who met with an accident and she saw this devastating kind of an image. She got the appointment for a counseling and she said, Mr. Manikandan, I was going to Madurai and on the road I saw a very jaded accident and what happened was one boy was dying in front of my eyes. He was a teenage boy. The point is I have a teenage boy, my son. And I started thinking, what would I do if something of that sort happens to my son? Whose mistake is this? It's the lady's mistake. Why should she associate such a big accident along with her son? So I employed this scramble technique, which we have spoken, when we were meeting a couple of years back, me and Professor Prakash, we were really able to speak about this. The scramble technique is a wonderful technique for forgetting a particular bad past. It's a very good technique for forgetting a particular, a devastating incident or a devastating subject matter. Maybe you had a very big battle with your friends and you want to really forget the battle. You are so much embarrassed and you want to forget that embarrassment and you want to start getting moved on in your life. You can use this scramble. I'll give you with an example.
Hold it 1 minute.
Look at this gentleman. So he's a boss. He's always a rude person, isn't he? So he scolds a particular person.
I can't believe you are so incompetent. I have no idea why I even hired you. And if you don't change your ways, you'll be sorry.
So this is a scolding from a boss to an employee. If it is to Abhi Kurian will take the pistol and he will shoot the boss. So he will not hesitate. But you are a professional person and you are supposed to be remaining professional. What will happen if this particular person is showing a hard face on a Friday evening? Saturday and Sunday, you will be keeping on rewinding this, and you will be reliving this particular moment, right? So you will be emotionally downturned. Is it what we do? Yes or no? So we got to get out of this. That is where the scramble technique is going to be useful. The scramble technique is kind of funny technique, my dear friends. You got to have lots and lots of creative thinking for doing this scramble technique. What happens is the same boss, the same environment, the same words even, but with a different kind of a nomenclature, different kind of a style. What you got to do is in scramble technique, you need to close your eyes. You first of all rewind the entire real incident that has happened. It will be aching, it will be hurting inside, and you have to get that hurting. But what happens is that after that, you again rewind the same incident, adding so much of creative instances towards it, adding a different color, adding a different speed, but with a different kind of a nature. Seeing the same incident, same word, same person, but with a different kind of a style.
I can't believe you are so incompetent. I have no idea why I even hired you. And if you don't change your ways, you'll be sorry.
So you are giving a different meaning to your neurolinguistics that this is not as serious you think. Coming back to the lady's example, it was very tough for me, but I will see the entire incident as a comic thing. See the entire thing as a funny thing. What you do here is, you just simply close your eyes and you are first of all rewinding the real incident that has happened. This is step number 1. And step number 2, you are seeing this as funny as it could get, as vivid as it could get, as hilarious as it could get. So if you do this, you are actually relaxing your brain nerves. And if you do this for 5 or 6 times, later, in the 7th time, when you think about the real incident, you'll be only laughing. This is called a scramble. It's a technique of rewritable CD. Even in DVD, we have got recordable DVD and rewritable DVD, right? Recordable DVD, you write it for one time, finish. Your brain is not a recordable DVD, your brain is a rewritable DVD. You can scrap off and you can install new forms of data. So this takes just 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. You can do this while you are riding your bike, you can do this while you are watching the TV. Any bad incident, maybe you need not tell me, think of a bad incident that you had in the recent past. Maybe an embarrassment, an insult, a scolding from your dad, a scolding from your mom, a scolding from your cousin, or something. I recently came across a particular case where a boy was crying for half a day just because some trespasser has scolded me for his rash driving. So that how come that guy has got the right to scold me? I told him that you drove rash and that's why he has scolded. No. Even otherwise he's not entitled to scold me. So he was so much depressed with that point. So I have given him this advice. So scramble is the second therapy I would like to speak. So right from the beginning of the video, you had been seeing most important tools for controlling your emotions. Do you remember we started with the concept called as conditioning, and after that we moved on to Jeff's story. You remember the youngster Jeff, and we saw 3 concepts in Jeff's story, that is eliminate the stimulus, modify the stimulus, and modify the response. And then we moved on to a very important concept of having the freedom of choice about how to control the freedom between this stimulus and response. We had one more technique called as the 4 prescription method. And after the 4 prescription method, I introduced you to 2 major therapies called as swish pattern and the scramble pattern. If you are if you are applying all these techniques together for your emotional disturbances, I think you are taking the leadership clarity. You are unleashing the great leader that is sleeping inside you for very long years. And just imagine in your professional experience and personal experience, if you are using these techniques for having full control over your emotions, you're definitely going to be having a competitive edge than others. But remember one issue: when you are using these techniques, you will always have a big problem of repetition. Repetition is the mother of any skill, and that applies for the problems also. If problems keep on repeating, these solutions are repeated again and again. You will have the most important challenge of these solutions getting used into the system. At that point of time, I want you to make use of these varieties. If 4 prescription is used, fine, go for it. If 4 prescription is not used, then go for swish pattern. If swish pattern is getting used in the system, then go for scramble. So some way or other, use this as major tools like a warrior does, and you can really have a very big competitive advantage. So try them.